Just do it. Nike.
Yeah, that's
Nike,
right. Oh,
just do it.
rotten Nike. Now it's except that it takes us up very close, and now I do need to. So when you move into video, it comes very close. Oh, that's all. That should be okay then, I think. That's short.
Okay.
All right. Hi, Tove.
Hello, Chris. Nice to see you.
And you too. Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Tove, an English teacher and woman extraordinaire who's also an author in Brisbane at present, launching her set of books. I caught up with Tove last week and basically fell in love. She is, I think, the epitome of an unstoppable woman on her terms. And so I would love to introduce her to you and to explore a little bit about her story. So, Tove, how about you start by letting us know what you're doing now?
Right now, I live in China, in Guangzhou, which is the third largest city in China, a city of between 10 and 15 million people. I've lived there for 11 and a half years, and I teach English as a second language.
Now, your life wasn't always like this, was it?
No, it was 11 and a half years ago. I lived in Brisbane. I was an accountant for a big American company, and I felt life was passing me by. I was 57 and thinking, oh, if I don't do something now, then I'm going to regret it. So one day I had coffee with a girlfriend, and I was complaining to her about my uninterest in life, and she said 9 words that would change my life forever. She said, why don't you go to China to teach English? 4 months later, I was in China teaching English. That is how quickly my life changed. I enrolled in the TESOL course the next day, finished my TESOL training, got my certificate, put my resume on Dave's ESL website, and within 2 weeks I had 70 job offers from around the world. I chose the job, of course, that paid the most money, which happened to be in a city called Guangzhou in China, which is in the south of China, and sold most of my belongings, my unit, my car, my furniture, put on a backpack, and I arrived in China ready to teach English.
This sounded like a game changer moment. And we've just got our tucker driving.
Can you just put it down? Can you see we're recording?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Which one is yours?
Oh, which one is yours? So it's, I think it's that one. Thank you very much. That's okay.
Thank you.
Maybe we can show everybody what it is that we're having now.
We are having avocado and salmon on Turkish bread.
Wonderful. Thank you. So it's part of life.
So I arrived in China and started to teach English.
Great. Now, one of the things that interests me is what has people can feel stuck in their lives, and some can feel stuck for their whole lives, and others really want to do something about it, but not necessarily knowing what or how. And there's something about being connected to your passion and a vision. And I'm thinking that in your case is one of the important elements. That was this totally off screen for you? It certainly was in terms of the way your life had been running. But what about, was there any connection with I guess, a lifelong dream for you?
When I was a little girl, I was born in Denmark, number 11 in a poor family of 13. And I remember as a little girl, I would read books about mysterious countries, and China was one of the countries which I was really fascinated by. And I remember reading those books and thinking, one day I must go to China. And also I developed the dream of traveling. And that's sort of the passion that I had, but I got married and I put my dream in the cupboard, and the dream was replaced by mortgage repayments and childcare, as so often happens in life. But in the third chapter of my life, I remembered my dream, and I went to the cupboard, I got my dream out, and I gave it wings. And I am living the life of my dream in China. As a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher, and now I'm living in China, I'm a teacher, and I have made 103 trips in the last 11 years, so I travel a lot. Living my dream.
So Tove, when you were a little girl, is there any way you could have foreseen, I mean, looking at your circumstances then, you could have foreseen that you were doing this now? Because what I'm hearing is a woman who is actually really, you've made the choice, you've created this yourself. So would you like to share what it is that makes your story interesting?
I think what makes my story unique was my very, very difficult start in life, being born number 11 in a very poor family of 13, and seeing my mother and father struggle to put food on the table for 13 children, and having to leave school before my 15th birthday because there were no money for education. And I think that upbringing has made me the compassionate person I am today. And I think it's also an inspirational story because it proves that you don't have to have a university degree to make a difference in a positive way or to fulfill your dreams. I think that's really important. But I do believe today that education is important, and this is why I have launched a philanthropy project in Nepal, and I am educating 13 little girls in Nepal, because I remember what it was like at age 14 having to leave school. So I want to make sure at least 13 little girls in Nepal finish their high school education.
Now, you, in terms of teaching and empowering others, because it's what you're doing in all areas of your life, not just in your work, not only in your work role, but in your spare time too. And I heard you say something about giving wings. Would you like to share that?
The motto of my school is I will give wings to children, but then I will leave them alone so they can learn how to fly by themselves. And I realize what I'm doing is just a drop in the ocean in regards to my philanthropy work as well. But without that drop, the ocean would be less. If everybody just did a little bit to help poor children, the world would be a better place. I'm happy that I can do mine.
Now, can I check into around the notions of courage and fear, that for anyone to have stepped up and made those sorts of transformational changes in your life? We talked before about how fear and courage actually live in the same, or fear and excitement can live in the same space, the same physiological space. We might have that in a part of our body, and it's about what we name it and then what we do with it. Would you like to share your take?
It's very interesting. I've been asked this question many times about how I was brave enough to make that decision 11 and a half years ago to sell off most of my belongings and just put on a backpack and go to China. And I never remember being scared. I only remember being excited. And I think being excited and scared is just very similar feelings. So I chose to be excited instead of being scared. Because as a 57-year-old, to just give up your comfortable life and go into the unknown, it could be quite scary. But for me, it was just exciting.
So I can hear it. And I heard you talking to about when you go out when you're travel with your daughter, for example, that you're like, or anywhere you're like a child because you just enjoy things so much. But one of the things I would like to hear too is, was there nevertheless anything that you need to let go to be able to step into this new realm of your life?
Yes, there was, but I found it quite easy in Brisbane. I was the perfect corporate lady. I was perfectly groomed at all times, stockings, high-heeled shoes, and I changed completely when I went to China. Gone was with the high-heeled shoes and the perfect hairdo and makeup. I just went into t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. And the other thing I had to let go of was having my beautiful, precious things around me, like Danish porcelain and beautiful paintings on the walls and things I thought I couldn't live without. But now all those beautiful things have been packed down in my daughter's garage for 11 and a half years, and I haven't looked at them. So really, how important were they? You know? So it felt so good to freeing myself from this life I had created in Brisbane, which I thought was the perfect life. But I realized going to China, in China, I became the person I always wanted to be. I became me. And I realized the life I had lived in Australia was a pretend life. It was a very, very interesting transformation.
So you are now, you're being your exception, I guess, too. You are being in terms of not needing to stay within the norms of how life has tended to happen in your society. You're really stepping out. You're really on your own in some ways in China, and yet not in others because you have major communities. But you're creating this yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
Your school, you're the one woman in your school.
I do all the teaching in all my schools, yes. Because my schools are where Chinese children come after their Chinese school to learn oral English. So they just come for one lesson a week. So I actually have 12 schools in China now. One main school in the middle of the city and then 11 schools in the suburbs. And I like to think of myself as having taken the road less traveled by. And to me, that has made all the difference.
And I think definitely some viewers might be interested. Is it, financially, does it work for you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Earning very good money, and I like earning good money, but what I like even more is that money I use to fund my philanthropy projects. I travel a lot. I made 103 trips in 11 years, and everywhere I go, if I see there's a need for something, I will fill that need if I can. For example, I was in the Mekong Delta in Vietnam teaching English as a volunteer in an orphanage and helping in a charity hospital. And I saw the poor patients laying there not having anything to do. So I asked the doctor, who ran the hospital, if I could establish a library for the poor patients so they had something to read while they were in hospital. So it probably cost me $500 to set up a hospital in the Mekong Delta. And it was just a wonderful feeling to see how much happiness that brought to the patients in the hospital. You know, it was $500 and I had it to spare, and I put it to good use. And I do this everywhere I go. I go to the north of India to teach English to Tibetan refugees, and I sponsor a Tibetan monk and a Tibetan nun in MacLeod Town where the Dalai Lama lives in exile, and it makes me feel very comfortable to know that they can have a more comfortable life because of the support that I give them, the financial support.
So, Tove, what's for you in the future?
Well, I have plans to stay in China for the next 10 years. I'm 69 now, but really 60s are the new 40s. 70 is the new 50. So basically, I'm really only 49. So I hope I can stay in China for the next 10 years. And I want to expand my philanthropy projects. At the moment, I'm sponsoring 13 girls in Nepal, and I hope to increase that number to 100. So I will continue to make a difference wherever I go in the world, may it be China or any other Asian country, because I have learned that that's what makes my heart sing, to make a difference, especially in the lives of children.
And what would you like to say to other women?
If I was to give advice to women who may be sitting on the fence, having a long lost dream, wondering, oh, dare I can only say, please do not fear. Go bravely into the future. Go bravely into the unknown. Do not think of the negative things that can happen. Only think of the positive things that can happen. Fear is what stops women from having wonderful lives and wonderful adventures. I'm very lucky. I have no fear. And I have been to amazing places. I've been to Mount Everest twice. Mount Everest Base Camp, mind you, not to the peak. But that could have stopped me had I allowed the fear to overtake. But again, I chose not to be scared, I chose to be excited, and that has given me the most wonderful, wonderful adventures. My fourth book is being published later this year, and that will be called To the Top of the World and Back, which is going to be a woman in the third chapter of her life, traveling alone in countries where she doesn't speak the language, and to the top of the world and back, meaning from up to Mount Everest and back. So, and that book is going to also be an inspirational book. Hopefully women will read that book and think, wow, this is what I want. So,
Very quickly, where might people get your books?
my books are available in all the libraries in Brisbane. On the book tour, I've been speaking in all the libraries in Brisbane. They are available also at the Teesdale College on Milton Road in Brisbane. They're available at Mary Ryan's bookshop in New Farm, and also in Townsville, Mary Koo bookshop in Townsville, but also on Amazon.com.
Great, perfect, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I said quickly because now I'm going to let you get back to your meal, which looks great. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you, everybody. Talk about a courage catalyst, hey?
Well, so let's see how we can